Imagine meeting someone new and thinking, wow, they're perfect. They make you laugh. They look incredible. They say all the right things. And without even realizing it, you've already created a whole movie in your head, a romance where this person is flawless, your connection is effortless, and your future is guaranteed. But here's the truth. The second you assume someone is everything you want without truly knowing them, you stop seeing the real person in front of you. And that, my friends, is where so many people get their hearts broken. Never assume that attraction equals compatibility, that they love the same way you do, that affection guarantees commitment, or that they'll always stay the same. Assumptions are the silent killers of connection. Instead, stay curious, stay observant, and most of all, stay honest with yourself. The more you see people for who they really are instead of who you want them to be, the closer you get to the kind of love that lasts. Chemistry is intoxicating, isn't it? That feeling when you're around someone and suddenly your world feels brighter. Your heartbeat races, and you can't stop smiling. You find yourself replaying their laugh in your head, remembering the way they looked at you across the table, or how your hands brushed together and it felt like electricity. It's magical, it's thrilling, and it's the very thing that makes dating so exciting. But here's where people make a mistake. They confuse that spark with something much deeper. They start assuming that just because the attraction feels so powerful, it must mean this person is the right one for them. We've all done it. You meet someone who lights up your world, and before you know it, you're building castles in the air. You picture vacations together, introducing them to your friends, maybe even imagining them as part of your future. The chemistry is so strong that you start to believe it guarantees compatibility, but attraction, as beautiful as it is, isn't enough to carry a relationship. It's like the opening scene of a movie. It grabs your attention, but it doesn't tell you if the whole story is worth watching. Think about it. How many times have you been drawn to someone who made your heart race, only to realize later that your values didn't align, or that your lifestyles clashed? Maybe you wanted commitment and they wanted freedom. Maybe you were driven and ambitious while they were content just coasting. At first, none of that seems to matter because the chemistry drowns out the warning signs. But once the excitement settles and real life sets in, the cracks begin to show. And suddenly, that same spark that felt so magical now feels confusing because you can't understand why it isn't enough. The truth is, chemistry is a wonderful starting point, but compatibility is what allows a relationship to last. Compatibility means asking the harder questions. Do we want the same things in life? Do our values align? Can our lifestyles blend in a way that doesn't require one person to sacrifice their core happiness? Without those answers, chemistry alone is like fireworks, beautiful and thrilling, but short-lived. And when they fade, you're left standing in the dark, realizing you mistook a spark for a flame that could keep you warm. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they start dating someone is assuming that the other person shows love in the exact same way they do. It sounds simple, but it's the reason so many relationships that look good on paper end up feeling confusing and frustrating. Maybe you're the kind of person who thrives on words. You love hearing, "I miss you," or "you're amazing," and when someone tells you how they feel, it fills your heart with certainty. But the person you're dating might not be wired that way. They might not say it as often as you'd like, but instead they're showing up for you in other ways, cooking for you, fixing that little thing in your apartment, or planning a surprise date. And if you're not paying attention, you might assume they don't care as much, when in reality, they're loving you in the best way they know how. The problem with assuming people love like you do is that it sets you up for disappointment. You begin measuring their affection by your own standards instead of theirs. For example, maybe you text all day long, checking in, sending little jokes, or just wanting to feel connected to you. That constant stream of communication feels like intimacy. But maybe they're the type who doesn't like being on their phone all the time. They might love their space, they might be deeply focused at work, or they might just prefer quality time in person over endless texts. If you assume their lack of messaging means they don't care, You'll create a narrative in your head that isn't true, and you'll start resenting them for something that's not even about a lack of love. This is where curiosity becomes more important than assumption. Instead of expecting someone to naturally meet your needs in the exact way you envision, ask questions. Learn how they express affection. Notice the things they do without you asking. Pay attention to whether they listen when you speak, or if they go out of their way to make your life easier. Love has many languages, and if you only pay attention to your own, you'll miss out on recognizing the ways they're actually giving to you. Dating isn't about finding someone who automatically matches your style of affection. It's about discovering whether their style and yours can complement each other. Can you adapt? Can you communicate what you need without demanding they become a carbon copy of you? Because when you assume they'll show love the way you do, you set yourself up to feel constantly let down. But when you stay open, you begin to see that sometimes love doesn't look the way you expect it looks the way they uniquely give it. One of the most painful assumptions people make in dating is believing that just because someone likes them, or even loves them, it automatically means they're ready for the same level of commitment. It's natural to think that affection equals alignment. After all, if someone is calling you every day, if they're taking you out, if they're telling you how much they enjoy being with you, it's easy to assume the next step is obvious. A committed relationship, exclusivity, building something solid together. But the truth is, just because someone is present with you doesn't mean they're prepared for the same future you are. And when you assume they are, you risk stepping into one of the most common traps in modern dating, falling in love with their potential instead of their reality. Think about how many times people get caught in situations where everything feels like a relationship, but it isn't one. You're spending nights together, sharing secrets, meeting friends, laughing, having fun. It looks and feels like something serious, but when the conversation about what are we finally comes up, suddenly there's hesitation. Suddenly you hear phrases like, "I'm not ready for anything serious right now," or "I really like you, but I don't want to put a label on it." And it's heartbreaking because you've been living as if the label already existed. The hard truth is that someone can genuinely care about you and still not want what you want. They can value you deeply and still not be ready to commit. Timing plays a huge role in relationships where they are in life, what they've just been through, what they're prioritizing right now. You might be ready to build a future while they're still healing from the past. You might be thinking about stability while they're craving freedom. If you assume that their affection means they're on the same page, you'll miss the signs that they're not. This is why it's so important to pay attention not just to how someone makes you feel, but also to how consistently their actions align with the kind of relationship you want. Do they follow through on their words? Do they include you in their future plans? Do they actively make space for you in their life? If they don't, then no number of sweet moments or intense chemistry can change the fact that they're not ready for what you're ready for. And ignoring that truth only prolongs the pain. When you first fall for someone, it's so easy to freeze. Frame that version of them in your mind. You fall for their smile, their habits, the way they talk, the things they're passionate about in that moment. And without realizing it, you start to believe that's who they'll always be. But people don't stay the same. They evolve. Their dreams shift, their priorities change, and their outlook on life matures. The mistake so many couples make is assuming the person they met on day one will remain exactly the same 5 years, 10 years, or even 1 year down the line. And when that shift inevitably happens, they feel blindsided as if the person they loved has disappeared. The truth is, change isn't a betrayal of love. It's a natural part of being human. Think about your own life. Are you the same person you were 5 years ago? Probably not. You've learned things, you've let go of certain habits, you've discovered new passions, and maybe even changed direction entirely. Growth is part of living. Expecting someone you're dating to remain unchanged is like expecting the seasons to stay stuck in spring forever. It's just not realistic. What matters in a relationship isn't freezing time, it's whether you can grow together. Can you embrace the changes in each other instead of resisting them? Can you adapt when life throws curveballs, when careers shift, when family dynamics evolve, when goals transform? Too often, people panic when their partner changes. Maybe they become more ambitious or more independent or more spiritual, or they simply start craving a different lifestyle. If you cling to the old version of them, you'll feel like you're losing them. But if you accept that love is about supporting who they are becoming, you give the relationship room to deepen rather than fracture. Another danger of assuming someone will stay the same is that you stop paying attention. You think you already know everything about them, so you stop asking questions, stop staying curious, stop discovering who they are today. And when you stop seeing them clearly, you start drifting apart. The couples who last are the ones who don't just fall in love once they keep falling in love with every new version of their partner. They keep choosing each other, not out of nostalgia for who they were, but out of respect and admiration for who they're becoming. That's what makes love sustainable, the willingness to grow together, not the expectation to stay the same. When we step into the world of dating, it's easy to get swept away by the excitement. We meet someone new, we feel that intoxicating spark, and before we know it, we're filling in the blanks with our own assumptions. We assume chemistry means we're a perfect match. We assume they'll love us the way we love them. We assume that if they care, they'll commit. And we assume the person we see today will be the same forever. These assumptions are comforting, but they are illusions, and illusions almost always lead to disappointment. The truth is, assumptions stop us from seeing reality, and reality is the only place where love can truly grow. A lasting relationship isn't built on fantasies, it's built on clarity. Clarity comes when you allow yourself to stay curious about the person in front of you, rather than projecting your hopes onto them. Instead of rushing to decide what the connection means, you take the time to explore who they really are. Instead of assuming they feel the same, you communicate openly and learn their unique way of expressing affection. Instead of assuming they're ready for the same future, you observe their actions and align your expectations with what they're truly capable of giving. And instead of assuming they'll never change, you commit to walking beside them through growth, through seasons, through the inevitable shifts that life brings. The real danger of assumption is that it blinds us. It makes us invest in an image rather than a person. It keeps us clinging to potential instead of acknowledging the truth. And when the truth finally hits us, it hurts far more than it would have if we had chosen to see it from the start. But when we let go of assumption and replace it with awareness, communication, and acceptance, something incredible happens. We stop chasing illusions and start building connections that are grounded, honest, and deeply fulfilling. So, as you continue your journey in dating and relationships, remember this: never assume. Don't assume chemistry is enough. Don't assume love looks the same for everyone. Don't assume affection equals commitment. And don't assume people will stay frozen in time. Instead, stay curious, stay open, stay honest with yourself and with them. Because the love that lasts isn't the one that lives in your imagination, it's the one that thrives in reality, with two imperfect people who see each other clearly, accept each other fully, and choose each other again and again as they grow. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and share this moment with me. If this message gave you something valuable to think about, or helped you see dating and relationships from a new perspective, then I've done my job today. Remember, love isn't about assumptions, it's about awareness, honesty, and growth, and the more we remind ourselves of that, the stronger and more fulfilling our connections become. I truly appreciate you being here, and I'd love for you to continue this journey with me. If you found this speech meaningful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss more content designed to help you build real, lasting relationships. And don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective and the lessons you've learned from your own experiences. Until next time, take care of your heart, stay true to yourself, and keep choosing curiosity over assumption. Because that's where the deepest love begins. Thank you once again, and goodbye for now. I can't wait to connect with you in the next video.